Hello everyone. So this is the fourth lecture. As we already studied the three lecture, as you already know that I'm working in a university that is one of the like the top university in India. And now today we will study about the access control and identity management. Okay, so as we studied already introduction to cybersecurity, threats, vulnerability, and risk management, and we understood about the security framework and threat modeling. Let's start about the access control and identity management. So first we will think about the access control. Okay, so before going to the slides, just we can talk about what is the access control. So it's a fundamental security mechanism that regulates who can view, use, or modify digital resources and physical assets, right? Something like that. It restricts access to authorized user devices and processing using authentication. That means verifying the identity, and authorization. That means granting the permission. Overall, mitigating the risk like data breaching, unauthorized access, and insider threats. So this is all about the access control. If we go about the identity management, so that is nothing but IAM. Okay, that is identity access management or identity management, a framework of policies, technology, and processes. What they does, what they do, they ensure the right individuals access the appropriate technology resources for the right reasons, right? That means it manages digital identities, authentication, and authorization. That means granting a permission, crucial for preventing data breaches and compliances. Okay, so now we understand about the access control and identity management. Let's go what we learn this chapter or discussion. So you'll understand the role of identity in cybersecurity. Later, you'll understand how access control protects system and data. That means how access control gives the properly authentication and authorization mechanism. We'll also understand different mechanism or different way of access control, right? Then we will understand recognize IAM related security risk. Then we will see apply IAM concept to real world system, something like that. Okay, let's see outcomes. So what are the objectives that will become our outcomes, like differentiation between authentication and authorization, appropriate access control models for a system. Also we'll understand IAM architectures and the workflows. Later we will analyze IAM failures in real world case studies. We'll see few scenario based case studies as well. Also, we will understand the recommend secure IAM practices for the organizations. Okay, let's see the few case studies based on that. Okay, so if we go to the first case study, that the hospital uses a digital system to manage a patient record, right? Okay, let's see. Different users access the system, right? Doctors, nurses, receptionists, and administrators. Okay, now if we listen this, what will be there? What will be there if we listen this? What will be there? Access control issue is what here? Earlier, all staffs could view and add patient record, which led to data misuse and privacy violations. What is there? Everyone can use the data, doctor, nurse, receptionist, administration, right? So this is a issue of the access control. Now, access control solution, what can be the solution here? Role based access control. That means according to the role, according to the doctor role, according to nurse role, according to the receptionist role, according to the administrator role, the patient's data can be viewed. Doctor can view the medical record, nurses view the record and update the vital only. Something for only view, something for only read only, something for editing. That's it. Receptionist only view the appointment details. No patient record. Admin system configure the access only. Okay. What we are learning through this session, the access control ensure users access only what their role requires. Okay, that means protecting sensitive data. So according to the role, the access can be given so that other can do only those are accessible to them, right? They cannot breach the data which is not accessible to them. Okay, let's understand different case. One more case is a online banking system related to the authentication and authorization. Okay, So we are understanding simply about the access control cases here. Let's see. An online banking platform allows customer to check balances, transfer money, and update personal details, right? Now, what happens here? Some user attempted unauthorized fund transfer by exploiting weak access checks. Okay. Now, because there is a weak access check, there is an access control issue. What can be the solution of this? Authentication username plus password plus OTP, right? That can be the solution because we are authenticating the user by using the password. That's nowadays every bank sectors are allowing that. Okay. Now, authorization. What are the authorization? We will make sure the normal users account related actions, bank staff, customer support access only, managers transaction approval access only. Okay. So these are the role divided based on the conditions. Now what students are learning in their access control combines authentication, who you are, and authorization, what you can do to prevent fraud. Are you understood? So this is the access control things can be applied or already applied by the banking system. Okay. Now, one more thing is there for the access control solution or the issue is there. That is the cloud storage misconfigurations. Okay. What the cloud storage? Generally, if we see the cloud storage means there is a online data storing for the like online like whatever you're uploading, Google Photos, like that, right? OneDrive, that is the right any drive which has the online storing data is for cloud storage. Misconfiguration means arrangement, like a company stores confidential project file on a cloud platform due to misconfiguration. That means not properly configured, files become publicly accessible. That means that sharing of the file is not for privately, that becomes a publicly. Now what the access control issue here? Access was granted without considering users attribute like department, location, or devices. Suppose some cloud storage data. Suppose let's see the university example, right? There is a cloud storage data. Suppose there is a file of PhD students that should be accessible by the PhD department person only. Suppose there are files related to the undergraduate student that should be accessible those teaching the undergraduate level or a particular subject level, right? That's access control things are there. But what the issue? Access was granted without considering the user attributes, right? Rather than the department, location, and device, access allowed for everyone. Now, what is solution? Based on the attributes, access given to the particular attributes things, right? That means according to department, location, device, or resources, uses, based on that, access has been given. So access need to be given so that it can be controlled properly. Now, access only allowed if user belongs to that teams, like that example has been given to by me previously. Like if suppose one team is decided to work on some PhD thesis or some data, because that data is a private data, right? If it goes publicly, anyone can access and can publish before the user. So what can be done? Suppose 4 or 5 authors are writing that project, right? So it's a sharing thoughts or the Dropbox thought, whatever is there, it should be between few users only, the team only, accessing from company network. Also, when using some network or some Wi-Fi or some internet, that should be private or some organizational based so that the network security cannot be breached. Using the appropriate device or approved device, that is the proper authenticated device which has a permission of authorization. And the allowable activity is during the office hour, in the office only if that data is highly secure and highly private, like a defense data or particular company data like L&T data, TCS data, some code project work, something like that, right? Students learning access control must be context aware, not just role based, especially in cloud system, right? So the cloud system, not the role based. We have to make sure the cloud based and the context awareness. Okay, that's how we are understanding here how three scenarios we understood, right? First scenario we understood about the hospital information, that's role based. Second, we understood about the authentication and authorizations. Okay. Third scenario we understood about the attributes attribute based access failure or the attribute access control failure, right? And what the solution of that, we understood about that. Okay, let's see what are the things access control and identity management in the two tables we can see in the my two column we can understand. As I shortly I discussed, something access control means something which is crucial for the fundamental security and mechanism that regulates who can view. Okay, who means person or the user, like that, right? Who can view, use or modify digital resources and physical assets, right? That means involving the authentication, that means verifying the identity. Second, involving the authorizations, that means granting the permission. Okay, that mitigates the risk like data breaching, because you're particularly involving the authentication by some OTP methods, right? By some face-to-face authentication, by biometric authentication, this kind of thing. And you are giving the authority to users which belong to particular organization or some team. That's authorization. Okay. Now that mitigate the risk of data breaching, unauthorized access, and insider threats. What access control principle here? Least privilege principle, need to know and separation of duty based on the work or role. Okay, now important things here comes to know the access control models. Okay, as previously for the two cases, right? We understood about the cloud security cases, attribute based, and for one more cases that was the this one, right? Hospital information system, we understood about the role based. Okay, now let's see the different model of the access control. Okay, the different model of the access control is DAC, that is a discretionary access control model. Okay, second is a mandatory access control model. Third is a role based access control model. Fourth is a attribute based access control model. So for the little introduction, we understood role-based and entry-based little bit, right? But we did not clearly talked about the DAC and MAC. Okay. So if we talk about discretionary access control, that is a flexible and user-centric security model, where what happens, resources owners creators determines who can access their files, right? Discretionary means what it does, a, it's a flexible, right? That is means user centric security model where owner determine who can access their files. That means you can see discretionary centralized model, one center person or the owner. Suppose we are checking we are opening some company, so owner only decide or the determine who can access their files, folder and application. So this is a kind of centralized model, centralized control model, right? Common in Windows, it uses access control list for management while offering high flexibility and low admin overhead. Actually what has happened DAC, if we talk about DAC now, actually what happened to DAC, it is sometimes what happen only the why high flexibility and low admin overhead, right? What it does, mainly control will be offered by the admin only or the controller only, that is the owner creator. So it uses access control list for management while offering high flexibility and low admin overhead, right? So what happened? It's a centralized model kind of things, and admin decides, or a user or the you can say owner decide who can control. Understood? Their files, folder, and application. But what happened here? For due to some reason, it is less secure and harder to audit than mandatory access control. Right? We are going to study. We are going to talk about the next MAC, mandatory access control. Why? Because suitable for low risk collaborative environment rather than highly sensitive system. So first information what we discussed, DAC is for owner control. Okay, it's an identity based control, right? What a disadvantage. So owner control, identity based control, we understood, right? And we can say user friendly also, because it is based on owner. So it reduces the admin workload, right? So kind of DAC is that. But what the disadvantage? Less secure because of decentralization. If power is come to one person, other cannot make a secure. So weak permission is there, right? If you just set a weak permission, data is vulnerable, right? Now second is malware success. Like you can say susceptibility of the malware, right? Or the chances of the malware to reach there, because user can grant a permission. Any malicious software running under a user's control can change access rights, right? Because there is a no permission particularly to admin to handle those things, because owner has only the control. Poor auditability are the one of the disadvantages of the DAC. That means tracking who has access to what can become complex over time, right? So now we understood DAC is a centralized control, honor based control. Okay, then it's an identity based control. Now generally it's used for the wide application, but because it's a user friendly, okay, because it's a user friendly and reduce the workload for the other admin, okay, but it is a less secure because only centralized control there, okay, others can have a weak permission that makes a vulnerability, okay. Next, it has a malwares. Any suspicious malwares can come into the system, okay, because what happens, users can grant a permission, right? Because they have a what, not that much honor rights to control that. They can see, they can have not a control to stop mainly, so they can access the permission, they can give a permission, and malware sometimes can reach to there in the system. So now, because of that, access control models, new model is developed, that name is mandatory access control model, right? That mandatory access control model is what, is a highly secure. What happen is, it's a non-discretionary access control model. Previous one is discretionary. MAC is opposite of that. That is a non-discretionary, discretionary. That means non-decentralized access control model, where a central authority such as an administrator defines permission based on user clearance and associated classification. User cannot alter access rights, preventing unauthorized data leakage. Previously, centralization, what happened? Admin has a less right. Okay, users can change, but here admin has a more rights. MAC. That means mandatory rights to the admin. So what happens here? If I write here, I write here. Okay. So it's a identity based. Okay, identity based. Identity. Okay, I can use the mobile, I can use the mouse, so that will be better for the teaching. Okay, the identity based access control, I put the mouse, so that is better for the proper access. Okay, now see, so based on identity, right, and kind of what happened here, as we understood, it says a honor control, right, as we discussed, honor control, honor control. That means less admin, honor control. Okay, that means less admin control, or the less admin control. Okay, but MAC is what? MAC is what? Opposite of that. Okay, I discussed many things, but I will write in a summary manner. MAC is what? Non-discretionary access control model. Okay, MAC is what? Non-discretionary access control model, where a central authority, such as administration, define a permission. So, more admin control. More admin control. More admin control rather than honor control. Okay, more admin control. Okay, so what happened? Central authority such as administration defines permission based on user clearance and resource classification. So it's a centralized control, okay? It's a discretionary, okay? It's a centralized control, okay? Payment-based control. It's a label is what? Clearance and classification labels. Access grant only if subject clearance matches or exceed the subject's object's classification, okay? Only access grants when, only grants when what happen? Only access grants when what happen? If any subject clearances, okay, matches, if any subject matches with the system or exceeds the object's classification, okay. So there are different models, like if we see the MAC model, the mandatory access control model has a multi-level, multilateral and many other things, right? So what the advantage? High security. If I remove them, first I will erase them all. So I will remove them all, that is better. Okay, so mandatory based is a high secure. Okay, high secure. Okay, mandatory based is a high secure. Also, prevent the data leakage. As we discussed here, the chance of malware, suspicious malwares is more. But here, prevent the data leakage. Okay, because centralized control is there. Okay, you can say centralized or admin control is there. Prevent the data leakage. Okay, prevent the data leakage. Okay, prevent the data leakage. Also, it follow the regulatory compliance. So that is okay. Now let's see what the disadvantage is: a high complex and the lack of flexibility. Okay, understood. Now let's come to the role based. Okay, if we talk about the role based means we already discussed according to the roles, right? That restrict system. Role based, what it does, it restrict the system access to authorized users based on their roles within organization rather than individual identity, right? So it provide the control based on the role. It's already word only said, okay? Provide the control based on the role, okay? The word itself says the control based on the role, right? Next, what is the advantage? We can say benefit, improve security, because based on role, the access have decided, so other cannot access it, right? As we discussed in the hospital scenario. Okay. Other are compliance, regulatory, and it simplified the audit because every role audits can be done properly. Okay. Now let's see. Last one is what? Attribute based control. So we already understood it in the case of when we discussed about the case, this one, right? Lastly, when we discussed about the case, right? What case we discussed? As we know, this was the case, right? Attributes concept, cloud storage, right? So we understood about the attribute based control, right? So what is it? It's a, you can say, like we can say the uh, it manages the authorization of the model that grants or denies access to resources based on the assigning attributes. Attributes means characteristic, right? If we think about the attributes mean based on the characteristics, okay? To user resources, environmental condition, it offers, like mainly what it offers, if we talk about the offers, okay? Where is my pen? So if I go to the pen, what happened here? Let's go to the pen, okay? Pen. So what it offers here, what it offers, mainly granular, okay, where to write? Mainly granular, granular, okay, mainly granular policy based control, such as allowing managers to view financial files only if they are on site during business hours, right? Because of attributes, okay? If they are on business hour, they can, if they are on business hour only, they can access the files, okay? Business hour, business, business hour only, okay? They can check the files, okay? That's called a granular policy based control, okay? So that's the thing is attributes can be the subject, object, environment. Those are the attributes or the conditions, right? As we discussed in the case of cloud security, right? So what it does, restricting cloud access, context awareness, and the data protection, regulatory compliance. Benefit is flexibility. Many things are the benefit, right? Sometimes it happens due to the more flexibility, malware attack is possible, right? These are all about access control we talk. Let's see the identity management, okay? If we talk about the identity management, I should remove first all those. Okay, and let me remove this all, and then we go to identity management. Identity management means who the user is, right? As we talked, first we talk about the, I will remove it first. Pen eraser, right? Let's I remove it. Okay, this one. Okay, so we are using different things here. So first, let me tell you about the identity management. Okay, first, what the user can do, access control. We understood different. This is the owner, admin, based on role, based on attributes. That means place, name. That different things are kind of subject, object, environment. We understood, right? Now, identity management, who the user is. So that means when you log in, okay, the username is checked every time. Email, username, mobile number, these kind of things need to be checked. That's the identity management. Either your photo, either your voice. So what are the identity? Voice, fingerprints, photo, okay, email ID, mobile number, unique things need to be checked authentication of based on authentication of passwords. Okay, based on authentication of passwords. So we are understanding these things. Okay. Now, what it does, identity proofing and verification. Authentication methods are password and the verification, that is a OTP verification, biometric verification. Single sign on, that is also the sign verification. Identity provider and privileged identity management. These are the verifying things for the identity management. Now we understood identity proves who you are, right? That means your email, your Aadhaar card number, right? Your passport number, your face recognition, your it's verifying by password, mobile OTP, something like that. And access control proves how you can handle the organization details. Okay, who can access? Different bases are there. We understood, right? Access control defines what you can do, and IAM ensure both are enforced securely. Identity, who you are, access control, what you can do, and IAM, identity access management, ensure both are enforced securely. So access control principle or least privilege. Least privilege means giving the permission less as possible. Okay, that means that makes sure the permission are less to use, less permission are given. That means the required permission only given, no more permission given which is not required for the employees or for the organizations workers or for the organizations role. Different persons are doing role, so insider threats are not there, either outsider persons, so that nobody can access inside data. Least privilege, need to know what is the authorization, what the authentication information, and what the necessary things should be. Need to know separation of duty based on the attributes. Okay, so we understood this. Let's remove these things. So I hope we are understanding all these things clearly. Let's go to the next slide. We finish it all. Okay. So these means the user are given only minimum access that we already discussed. Reduce damage from mistakes or attacks, limits insider threats, impact. Example, intern gets read only access things, right? Suppose there are, I told previously we discussed, suppose there are a group where our thesis writing is there or paper writing is there, right? But some interns come to help the things. We are just giving a acknowledge or some name only based on the his like, because he is or she is coming for 2-3 months. But if we give full access, maybe that can be added or that can be shared to somewhere. So that's all the read only access. Just read and give a advice. Okay, like that. Key idea, key less access means less risks. Okay, like that. Less is a need to know. We already discussed about it. So access granted only if required. If necessary, then only. Benefit, increased data security, minimization of insider threats. Okay, and what others? If we see minimizer of increased data security, minimizer of insider compliance with regulatory frame requirement, efficient management of access, improved traceability, and these kind of need to know principles are there. And based on job responsibility, prevent unnecessary data exposure, common in defense, banking, and healthcare. Where's the need to know when grant permission, when access to require. Okay, defense, like something is needed to know by only the defense minister. The other things will not be need to know by other users. Okay. Suppose lieutenant has no some data which is required to known by him only, not others. Like that. Banking sector manager has a different access permission. Healthcare also same we understood, right? So access granted only if required. Unnecessary access is not granted. Okay. Separation of duties means according to role, divide the power to reduce the misuse. Suppose one person is controlling like a honor base, that is DAC. One person is everything controlling, that means chances of the attack or chances of the breach is more because everybody cannot control everything at a time. So if you divide the power, divide the duties, other person will control properly the thing, so that access management control will be the good for the big organization, like a payment authority to different, a user authority to different, information authority to different person, like this. To divide the power, use the power, divide the power, then make a centralization checking, making a monitoring, like that thing of a separation of duties. Okay. Access control models we already understood. DAC, MAC, RBAC, ABAC. We already discussed details. Okay. DAC, as we discussed all details, honor-based control. I also write in the previously. I also write previously honor-based control, right? Honor has control specified user groups who can access and objects, right? Like that only. So DAC allows the owner of resources decide who can access it. Okay. So that has a, like we already discussed what are the advantage and disadvantage of DAC, right? So we discussed what are the few key characteristic we already discussed, right? Advantage, that is user friendly because one person has a decision. Reduce admin load, right? That has a advantage. But the disadvantage is malware attacks can be more, right? Less security, poor auditability, right? Because tracking who has access to what can become complex over time, right? Right? If big organization, then order cannot control everything. Next, mandatory access control. We already understood is a central authority, not individual users. Like that means admin control. Okay, that means admin control is there. So what the important thing is here in the mandatory, some enforces rules, strict security and low flexibility. What the previous DAC is, on a decide, that means high flexibility, low security. In this MAC, low flexibility and strict security, because what happened here, if we see the diagram clearly, clearance level is there, confidentiality level is there, system administration and users and data, and then decide access based classification and provide the access, right? So that means what happened, it creates the, it create what importantly, if we see that one, what this line, like this line, if we see, where is that line, where my mouse, okay, I'll see, okay, this one, if we see this line, okay, access decision based on a security level and classification. So what it does, labels, clearance and classifications. Okay, that means every user is assigned a clearance label. Okay, every user assigned a clearance label. Okay, also that is a confidential and secret, and every file a classification label, right? So that's how centralized and control is done. Security policies is managed by a central administrator, not by the owner of the data, right? That has happened what, access is granted only if, access is granted only if access granted only if, what happen if the subject clearance, what we discussed about the subject here label, right? Subject clearance matches or exceed the object's classifications, right? So those are the important things here. I hope we understand here. Commonly used in military, governance, and defense. Previous one commonly used in where, previously commonly used in small organizations, right? Those have a not high security needed. Okay, this one high security system. Okay, second, RBAC, as we discussed, one example of RBAC is hospital, where security is defined to the based on the role, doctor, nurse, admin, students, right? It's assigned the permission based on the roles we already discussed. So if we see here, define the roles, assign permission, modify, access control, modify roles for permission, audit and monitor, right? Let's go the net attributes based on the object, based on the different kind of things, right? Subject, and based on the different permissions or the names, like that. So attributes can be the object, subject, any environment, something like that, right? So this is the attributes based. So user location, time, device, risk level, based on that, it's decided. So used in modern IAM policies, right? Modern IAM means based on the condition, decide the access control and security framework, right? So it's in the modern IAM. Highly flexible and suitable for cloud and zero trust system. The application of cloud and zero trust system. Okay. Let's go to the next. So if we see the summary of, because this chapter what we're studying about the access control and identity management. So access control models are there, right? What is access control? Who can use? Access control means who can use. And we understood access control means we decided, right? Who are you? Okay. Okay. Access control means who are you, right? Meaning of authentication. Okay. Okay. Access control, first we check it. Access control properly. If I give you the proper things, what access control is there? Okay. See here. What the user can do, or the who is the user, right? Based on that, control is decided to the user, right? So what we came to here, we understood we understood different model, right? DAC model. Access means the permission to use the data, files, system, right? Important information of the company, organization, bank, healthcare, many things, right? So to secure that permission, what? Secure that permission, there are different model. DAC, centralized model, that decentralized model, D discretionalized model, right? We checked about it, right? That is a discretionalized model. We already talked about it. What is that? What is that? We already talked about it. That is D. We already talked about it, right? Okay. If we see MAC, right? Okay. So we cannot talk directly like which is better based on the condition and based on the flexibility, based on the risk. The user uses the model, right? Or the company uses the models. Okay. So if we say about the simple model, like if we say simple company, that discretionary or the DAC model, like simple flexible model, or the on the control model, that is discretionary model, DAC model is useful, right? But we need a high security in defense, or in a heavy like a highly secure banking system, or in reserve bank system, we have to use the MAC model, right? If we need more flexible and more security in a cloud scenario, because we want to use the data plus security, that ABAC better. If you want in hospital, smart cities, infrastructure, access control, then RBAC is okay, right? DAC is for the normal like simple startup companies, or you can say the MSME, less than MSE, small companies. DAC is the you can be used, right? It's a more flexible and the less secure. So a small level company, those have not worried about the much security, then they can use the DAC. So we studied the main thing about the access control and what are the model to make sure the access control. We understood access control meant what can be done. Okay, now how it can be decide what can be done, that decided by these models. Okay, let's see the next. What is this? Again, we came to here. So we understood authentication and authorization difference, right? So properly after understanding the proper access control and understand the IAM, let's see the difference between authentication and authorization. We already see it. Authentication, who are you? Authorization, what can you access, right? So we already checked it. So that can be decided by, we already discussed about it, right? Authorization, permission, privilege, separation, list privilege principle, OTP, and these things of authentication. Okay. Now let's see the authentication means verifies user identity. That means by using the OTPs, password, biometric, and what it makes your unauthorized access relation. That means come first, which is the based on the authentication. Authorization means user permission. What can you do after authentication? Only authorization provided. Read, write, admin access, privilege misuse. Right? What the failure impact can be the what are threats or the failure impacts. These are the privilege misuse or authorized access comes after authentication. It is first authentication, then authorization. Okay. Identity management, as we already discussed, identity management means who is the user, what to decide. That means we decide the identity, that means authentication by using the password, by using the biometric, by the face recognition. That is called identity management. We already understood, right? So how it works based on the operation, program governance, user identity store, where IAM works for authentication authorizations, right? What is digital identity? Has to be decided with that, with the user life cycle, create, manage, update, and provoke, right? Identify, identity proofing and verification. What is the key concept of that? Okay, centralized and federated identity and identity provider. Okay, mainly it is nothing but it's just a simple thing, how to manage the identity or how to decide who is the user, right? Based on the authentications, right? That means the identity manage. How to manage those identity? Storing proper place. Like if identity is there, how to remember those identity? That's called a managing, right? That managed by storing, provisioning accounts, credential management, identity governance, auditing like that, right? So based on that, it decide, okay, this is suppose email system, right? They knows that emails comes, so this organization email is there, then password, then inside there, right? That's how identity managed by all organization file is governed by the some store place or some identity place, right? Then they access from there with the password, and then if needed, if they think that is not from other place, that they can provoke for the authentication of different way, or the two-factor key authentication, face recognition authentication, pin authentication. Sometimes when we log in from other device, then it gives to our original device a message that this is login is there. If you are not, can inform us, right? Like that. Okay. IAM architecture, authentication and authorization is must. Okay. Then user management and central repositories to make sure they store the identities. Okay. So that from there can be verified. Okay. So authentication, authorization, policy store, protected resources, login and auditing. Okay. IAM in modern system, cloud IAM, cloud identity access management. Okay, that is we will discuss about in the cloud security more. Okay, IAM in a mobile and web application integration with the zero trust time in the enterprises network. So everywhere I identity management access management is required, that makes sure who is and what can be done. Okay, security threats related to IAM. If there is password attacks, credential stuffing, many attacks are there, right? Weak password, so to make sure the hacking the password, right? Hacking the identity, hacking your like if the privilege escalation are there, right? Insider threats, the inside person only access the information, the misconfiguration of many other threats are there, right? Data breaching, more things are there to like it can breach the many information inside that, right? So vulnerabilities is data inform, vulnerabilities is weak password, weak authentication, weak authorization. Attacks are, threats are on the attack to hack the password, to hack the identity details, right? To inside person only attacking due to the misconnection between the organization, something like that. So taking the information of the organization and selling on sharing to other organizations, something like that. We understood about this. Let's talk about the summary. So we understand the different attacks and different things, threats, and for that need to make a security. So that's why I am need to make a security. So strong authentication. What the security is needed? Security is strong authentication. Securities, securities can be securities are securities are securities are strong authentication. Okay, strong authorization, strong password, okay, strong identity management. So make sure the proper identity stores and the allocation, and properly verify the insider so that there is no insider threats. Properly configure the IAM. So these are the security level can be decided based on the attacks, right? So there is a IAM, there is a attacks, there are security possibilities. Okay. Summary, we understood about the what, who, IAM, RBAC, ABAC. I am the foundation of secure digital system, right? Now, if we discuss all things in a summary manner, if we discussed all things, we discussed all things in a summary manner, we understood about the access control. That means who can access the, what action can be allowed. Okay, what that means, the what can be done, access allow. If suppose my mobile, simple, if you understand somebody, my mobile is there, my mobile phone is there, I can give a permission to use my mobile phone to my family person only. That's called access control. Okay, so simply we understand today's topic, access control, identity management. Access control means who, like, access control means what is allowed to do. Okay, my mobile is given to the few person, what can be done, I will decide based on the access control. Few can pick up the phone, few can message, few can play the game, few can use the chatting, something like that, WhatsApp, few can use the Instagram, like that. And identity define who can control what. Okay, that means suppose my father can control this, my mother can control the same thing in the company also, right? And now we understood about the access control, what are the different model to make sure the access control. So we understood about the honor based model, that is a DAC. Okay, honor based model, that is DAC. Then we understood admin based model, that is the more secure model, that is the MAC. Then we understood about the role based model, RBAC. Then we understood about the attribute based model, right? Attribute based model. So we understood different model to make sure the access management. Okay, we understood about the IA, like we understood about the identity management is possible through the authentication and proper authorizations. Okay, so we understood about the identity with access management complete together make sure the proper foundation of cyber security, proper foundation of digital system, and that need to make a secure, so that complete cyber system will be secure, right? How to make that secure? By strong authentication, strong authorization, proper password management, strong password management with a cryptographic algorithm. We will discuss about the cryptography in the upcoming chapter, right? And also strong identity management, right? So that who is the identity person, strong identity store, right? Where to store, and so that duplication will not be there, right? These kind of things make sure the strong security. So if IAM apply in the system, that will make sure proper enhance the label of the organization, that means working level and efficiency level of the organization, that need to make secure by using the these kind of security what we discussed. Authentication strong, authorization is strong. Okay, strong password security. Okay, and attending the strong identity storage, strong identity management, these kind of things, right? Strong IAM configuration or the enhanced IAM configuration, like those needed for the security. And threats is the same, like threats are the opposite. Threats are the weak passwords, right? Weak identity management, weak like kind of misconfiguration of IAM, these kind of things understood. So we understood about the IAM, right? IAM makes sure the enhance the advancement of the organization, okay, or the some group or the team. Okay, it enhance the group and team. Now it need to make a proper secure so that it become a more efficient. Okay, because there are threats, from that threat it will be secure and make a proper secure system. Okay, these things we understood at last. Okay, so if I erase those things, so we will see, today we will understand everything which is related to the identity management, means who can access the system. Okay, what action can be allowed, or what action or what permission can be there based on few models. Okay, what are the security levels we need to decide based on the threats. So these are the things we understood today. Okay, I hope we understand this lecture based on the access control, models of access control, identity management. Then if we in a group, IAM, what are the architecture, storing, authentication, authorization. What are the threats? Based on the threats, what are the security can be applied. Those things we understood today. Thank you very much to listen this, and we will discuss in the upcoming topics more valuable things like cryptography and the more things. Okay. Thank you very much to listen. Have a nice day, and we will stay tuned for the upcoming lectures. Thank you.